Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, lovely people. I haven't made videos in a while thanks to the YouTube jail, being jailed twice, so I'm a little bit rusty and it feels a little bit weird for me to make videos, right? But let's get on with it here. So, in this video, we're going to talk about astrology, different astrological systems, and I'm going to specifically address the tropical Western astrology that most of you guys are aware of, right? Most of you guys have a zodiac sign, and I would probably guess that 80 to 90% of the viewers here identify with the zodiac sign given to them according to the tropical Western astrology. So first of all, a couple of things here. What is astrology? Astrology is the study of the celestial objects, that would be planets, stars, moons, and how they influence planet Earth and the beings on planet Earth. Of course, talking about oneness, we're all connected, and everything exerts a certain amount of influence on everything else. If you live with your family, you are all influencing each other to different degrees. In the same way, if you're living in planet Earth, you have all these different planets and moons and stars influencing you to a certain degree, right? So astrology studies that. I would say primarily the Western astrology is more concerned with the personality, the psychological makeup of humans, let's say. So usually when you read your zodiac sign, you go on the internet, you have a certain personality. If you're a Cancer, you're emotional. If you're a Gemini, you're curious, etc., 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 right? And then you have the Vedic system, the sidereal system, which is more concerned with the reading of the past and the predictions of the future, right? And of course, you have many different systems. You have the Chinese system, the Mayan system. I mean, different peoples interpreted astrology and how it affects and influences humans and earthlings differently, okay? So I want to address the Western tropical system because it's full of falsehood. I'm going to say it straight out. It's full of falsehood. So I'm going to give you an example here, right? On December 29th, 2020, we had a full moon. And the full moon, if you heard or if you're following somebody into astrology on Instagram or on YouTube, most Western people living in the West, in America, Canada, Europe, right? English speaking, in just Western in general, not just English speaking, they follow the Western system, right? They follow the 12 zodiac signs, and if you're born on, June 23rd, for example, you're a Cancer, right? And if you're born on August 16, you're a Leo, right? That's all according to Western tropical astrology, right? 12 zodiac signs. And so on December 29th, it was full moon in Cancer, right? In Cancer. You can go look it up on Google right now. Type December 29th, 2020, full moon in what? You'll see full moon in Cancer. Now, is that so? Is that so? So, let's, first of all, what does it mean for a full moon to be in Cancer? For the moon to be in Cancer? It means that at this point in time, December 29th, 2020, if you look at the moon, and if you look at the constellation from the viewpoint of being on Earth, which constellation of stars, which star cluster is the moon in, you would see that the moon is in Cancer. But actually, it is not in Cancer. If you look at the actual facts, where is the moon right now? The moon right now is not in Cancer in December 29th, 2020. It's in Gemini. It's the star cluster, the constellation Gemini. Another example. Yours truly here is born on June 23rd, right? June 23rd. So June 23rd, according to tropical astrology, says if you're from June, I believe 21 until July 20 or something like that, right? About a 30-day period, you're in Cancer, right? So, what this means, simply put, is when I was born, the sun from the viewpoint of Earth was in the constellation Cancer. The star cluster called by the name Cancer, right? But is that so? Not so, not actually, not so quick, okay? Because if you look where I was born, June 23rd, 1991, if you look at where the sun was, in which constellation it was, you'll see that it was in Gemini, not Cancer. So how do you know, Saeed? I mean, you were a little baby there, you know. You're a little baby, not even like you're a 5-minute-year-old baby. How do you know? How do you know so much, Saeed? What kind of arrogant fool are you to say, well, you know, no, I saw my sun sign was in Gemini. It's not in Cancer. Well, I had to wait until I'm 29 years old, right, to look into this and download an app, a very useful app called Stellarium, and you can download other apps too. Stellarium is really good, right? Stellarium, I believe, Stellarium. Okay, Stellarium. Just look it up. You'll find it very easily on the App Store, Android or Apple, doesn't matter. Download it. You can go to any given date at any point in time and type type where you were born, which city you were born, or the closest city to it if you're born in a little village, and you can put the date. So for me, I put June 23rd, 1991. I put city Doha, right? And you could look at the actual sky, not what you're told in this fake, okay, tropical astrological system, Western system that we follow, right? You could actually look at the sky and you will see on June 23rd, 1991, that the sun was in Gemini. It was not in Cancer. It was in the constellation Gemini. And if you were to do the same thing for your birth date, and if you're following the Western system, you would see that you're not always, by the way, not always, but most likely you're moved one zodiac sign off. Now, why is that? This is the why. Because about 2,000 years ago, roughly 2,000 years ago, this tropical astrological system was developed and adopted, became mainstream, and it was divided into 30 degrees, different, so 30 degrees based on the seasons. So each season you have 4 different constellation zodiac signs, 4 different constellations ruling the sky. And it's for the sake of convenience that it was divided like that, because there's another problem with this system, and I'll tell you about it in a second. So they divided it up into equal parts, 30 degrees, so 12 zodiac signs, and at that time it was true. So if I was born roughly 2,000 years ago, my sun sign, if I was born June 23rd, that's the year 20, all right, or something, close to that, it was roughly 2,000 years ago, you would see in fact that I was born and my sun sign was in Cancer. However, there's something that the system does not account for, and that is each constellation moves 72 degrees, 1 degree every 72 years. Okay, so over a period of time, the stars, the position of the sun in the constellation changes slowly but surely. And that's why most people, not everybody, but most people right now, if they're looking at their zodiac sun sign in the Western tropical system, it's not actually the case. It's one sign moved over. And again, that's not always the case. I know with Miranda, she's the same sign even after accounting for the actual position of the sun in the constellations now, year 2020. Okay? But for most people, for 80-90% of people, it would be moved one constellation over. So the Western tropical system does not account for that, because it does not account for the movement of the constellation by 1 degree every 72 years. So it adds up. So over a 2,000 year period, you'll see that it's moved over. So then you've got all these people following this Western astrology, Western tropical astrology, and they're so identified with their sun sign and whatever it tells them, whatever the internet tells them, when in fact, that's not the case. That's not the case. That's not where their sun sign is when they were born. That's an outdated system that's 2,000 years old. So essentially, you're following something that no longer applies. It's outdated. It's outdated technology. It's like using It's like using one of those, one of those phones where you had to go like cheek, cheek, cheek. I used those, by the way, when I was a kid. You go like, you put your finger in it, and then you go around, then you go around again, then you go around again, then you go around again, right? It's like mechanical, right? And then it's like using that. You don't really need to use that anymore, right? Why would you use that? That's outdated. It doesn't make sense. Or it's like, imagine we continue to use, those cars powered by coal. Doesn't make sense anymore. It's outdated technology, right? Oil is better, and now we're moving into solar. And so in the same way, it does not, look, that system was useful 2,000 years ago, but it's no longer useful because it's no longer true. It's not the same constellations that your sun is in or your moon is in. So it changes your entire birth chart. Your entire birth chart is changed. So in the tropical, I'll give you an example here. In the Western tropical system, my sun sign is in Cancer. My moon is in, God, I don't remember anymore, but it was a completely different sign, right? So now my sun is in Gemini, and my moon is in Libra, and pretty much everything, almost everything changed with the exception of maybe Venus and something else. Everything changed for me. My entire birth chart changed, completely changed. When I actually look at the actual way, you could do this for yourselves, folks. Download the app Stellarium, put your birth date in there. You could see where your Venus is, you could see where your Jupiter is, you could see where your Sun is, you could see where your Moon is, you could see where everything is. You don't have to follow someone else's belief system, belief system. It's outdated, it's based on 2,000 years ago. Come on. Nobody, we're not using coal-powered cars anymore. I hope we never do, right? Coal is very inefficient. Very polluting. Why would we? And why would we use this outdated system? Let's acknowledge that it was useful at some point and it's no longer accurate. It's outdated. Here's another problem with this system. So, for the sake of convenience, everything was divided into 30 degrees, right? But so that implies that each constellation is there for an equal amount of time, right? And that's why when you read the astrological charts and where zodiac signs, so it says Cancer is from June 21st to July 20, and then you got Leo is from July 21st or something until August 20, right? And then so you see that every zodiac sign is about 30 days. It's all equal, but actually that's not true neither, because each constellation, the sun is in each constellation for a different amount of time. So for Virgo, you have it in Virgo in there, right? So you can see the sun in there for about 50 days of the year, okay? Whereas you have other constellations, they're there for a shorter period. So it's not true that the sun is in each constellation for exactly 30 days. That's not true neither. Some constellations are up to 50 days, others are 2 or 3 weeks. So you have shorter zodiac signs and longer zodiac signs. So again, it's inaccurate for this reason as well. Third reason why it's inaccurate and outdated. There is a sign called Ophiuchus, right? The 13th sign. And the sun is in there for about 2 weeks of the year in November. I believe, and again, don't quote me on that, I believe it's from November 7th to November 21st. If you go on Stellarium right now, okay, and you type in November 7, 2020, or November 8, 2020, you're going to see that the sun is in the constellation Ophiuchus, which is completely ignored by the Western tropical system. So all these inaccuracies add up to make this system a belief system that people just follow because people want some kind of an identity. People want to belong to a team, right? Team Leo, Team Cancer, Team Gemini, Team Sagittarius, Team Capricorn. Humans have this innate desire, I don't know why, it just is, tribalism, to belong, to be part of a group, okay? And I guess there are different reasons for that. I'm not going to get into it here, but the fact of the matter is humans want to belong, they want to be part of a group, and so humans are quick to cling on to identities. So you see this in sport, for example, right? Like I'm a Barcelona fan, I'm a Manchester United fan, I'm a Patriots fan, right? I'm a Maple Leaf fan, right? I'm a Lakers fan. right? And people get really passionate about it because, you know, humans want to be part of a team. So what you do in effect when you follow this Western tropical system, and again, there are much more accurate systems. I highly advise you check on YouTube a guy, his channel is Mastering the Zodiac or something like that. Just type in True Sidereal Astrology and listen to what he has to say, because he actually looks at where everything is in the skies. Doesn't just follow some system that's outdated, that's 2,000 years old, that doesn't account for Ophiuchus, a 13th sign. It doesn't account that each zodiac sign, each constellation is the sun is in it for a different period of time. Doesn't account for all of that. It doesn't account for the 1 degree movement every 72 years. So you go and you type in what is the traits of Cancer, and then you find out that you're Cancer. That's what the system tells you. That's most likely false. That's false. You're not a Cancer in all likelihood. Again, sometimes it stays the same, but for 80% of the time, you're moved one zodiac sign over. It's not true. So you read it, and then it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, right? So you start to say, well, I'm like that. Oh, that must be it, right? It's called confirmation bias. That's what it's called. So you'll read something like, you're Cancer, so you're supposed to be emotional and homely and da-da-da-da-da, right? So then you think to yourself, oh, I like to be home. I like to do this. So it's confirmation bias. So you say, oh, that explains it. That's why I'm a Cancer. Then later you actually look at the actual position of the sun in the constellation. You find out you're moved over to a completely different sign with a completely different traits and everything else. Then what? You're getting a new identity now? So I'm just putting it out there, right? I'm not too big on astrology in the sense that I don't really follow it much, and I don't live my life by astrology. Never did, and I'm more interested in astrology from the perspective of predicting the future and looking at different ages and different cycles, right? Another lie, by the way, belief that we entered the age of Aquarius. That's not true. Not true. I'll explain this in a different video, in a future video very soon. The age of Aquarius is 750 years away from now. We're still in the age of Pisces. And I'll explain it to you in a different video, okay? And you can check this for yourself again on Stellarium. So, finally, one more thing you can check on this app. Again, December 29, 2020, full moon was supposed to be in Cancer. Everyone told you that, right? Go on Stellarium, type December 29, 2020, look at the position of the moon and look at the constellation it's in. You're gonna see that it's in Gemini. Okay, so folks, be careful, because there's so much misinformation out there, and sometimes it's on purpose, and sometimes people just follow it and they don't question it enough, and they're well-meaning people, right? They're well-meaning folks, but they don't question it enough, and they take it as truth, when in fact it's lie. It's a lie, or it's a belief system, really. The other thing is it's just outdated technology. Like the tropical Western system is outdated. It's so simple. Just look at the sky. Look where the sun is. Look where the moon is. Go on the app Stellarium, folks. Look it up for yourself. Okay? Just be aware when it comes to that. There's so much misinformation going on by well-meaning individuals. God bless their souls, well-meaning individuals, okay? Anyway, more future videos on astrology. More future videos on astrology. We'll talk about the age of Aquarius in a future video, and why it's still 750 years away from now that we have not entered the age of Aquarius. Contrary to popular belief and what a lot of well-meaning individuals in the love and light community would tell you, the age of Aquarius is still roughly 750 years away from now. Okay? Astrology is very interesting. It's true. Everything has an effect on you. Everything influences you. But be aware, because, in this day and age, truth, the Hindus tell us that Kali Yuga, the age of darkness, the main characteristic of the age of darkness, the Kali Yuga, is deception, actually. That's the word, deception. And there's a lot of that going around, okay? And we're slowly but surely now moving into truth. We're still quite ways from the age of Aquarius, but we're beginning to move in there. And so we're beginning to dispel the darkness and reveal the truth. And this is one of those things the truth is coming out on. So at the end of this video, look up True Sidereal Astrology on YouTube. There's an interesting guy called Mastering the Zodiac. You know, he knows the shit. And all this information I got from him, and then I did my own, looked up, I downloaded the app and did all of this, and became very, very obvious to me that this does not make sense. It's an outdated technology. The Western tropical system is an outdated technology. Thank you to everybody watching. I love you guys. If you would like to donate to us via Patreon, via PayPal, the links are in the description. I really appreciate it, guys. Any donations, $1, $100, $1,000, $100,000, right? If you got a couple of $100,000 to spare, feel free to spare them down below in the comments, okay? Mwah. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.